everyone, welcome back to the Odyssey of Arsenal. I am your host, Jamie Waffles Footy, formerly known as J Gunner17 over on TikTok. I'm going to pull in Adam, our co-host, and we have a couple of special guests today. So, pulling Adam in here. There we go. So, Adam, how are you today, brother? How are you doing? How's your day been?
Really good, Jamie. Really good. Great to be back on the Odyssey of Arsenal with you, and very excited to be talking about the fixtures.
Yeah. That's so what the people, just a bit of context before I introduce Josh and our special guest who is down in the right corner. This is Arsenal's fixtures from August to September. We're going to be doing a deep analysis and what we kind of think and how many points we should get out of this. Welcome in, Josh. How have you been today, my brother? How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, just to say, I've just like been back from college, really tired, but obviously I can't give up on doing this because it feels like a job to me. And also, yeah, enjoying the Euros as well so far. Like enjoying watching, like one of the Euro games, really fun and entertaining. And already the fact that the fixtures did come out, I did talk about it over my YouTube channel as well, Joshua.ATV, the official. That I did talk about that, about how the fixtures are coming out. Talking about the first 5 games, especially the big games in September, like which is like the North London derby, and we've got Arsenal away at Manchester City.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into that, brother. Let's move. We're going to dive into the fixtures and that, bro. I haven't pulled up quite yet, but thank you for the analysis, bro. I appreciate you. I'm just going to welcome in Graham. How are you today, Graham? If you want to introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah. Appreciate the invite onto your stream. My name's Graham Brooks. I do the Tactical Insight Show on AFTV, and that's pretty much what most people will know me for. I also do some work with Lee Judge's TV, but primarily AFTV is where you'll find me doing tactical breakdowns with James Bayliss.
There you go, people. Now you know who the special guest in. He has done us a massive favour by coming in today, and we are greatly appreciative. I'm greatly appreciative of you, Adam, as well. I'm greatly appreciative of you, Josh, and just everyone. So moving on over, I'm going to pull up the screen now, people. Here we have it. One sec, I think my mic's just come out. There we go. I'm going to pull up the screen for everyone to see the fixtures, so it makes everyone aware of who we are playing. So the first game, has that come up on your screen, people?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. Just making sure, because my laptop has gone a bit laggy. There we have it. So the first game is against Wolves, and we have, I'm just waiting for it to come up on my screen. We have Wolves, and then we have Aston Villa away. Then we have Brighton at home, and then moving on over to September, where it's crucial North London derby time. We all know what that means. Obviously, the fixtures will change because obviously Tottenham and Arsenal are not going to be at 3:00, and a few of these other games won't be at 3:00 because of TV scheduling. Because I think that Villa game and maybe obviously the Tottenham game and then the Man City game. Looking at that straight away, Adam, what are some key areas over there, my brother?
For me, that Aston Villa game, Jamie, is huge, considering we got 0 points out of 6 this season against Aston Villa. That's going to be a huge test against a very well-drilled Unai Emery side, as we saw the season just gone. So I think that's going to be a massive game. Obviously, everybody's going to be looking at the Spurs and Man City, but I think we've got a very big test before those games even come around. So I think it's going to be very important, certainly those first couple of games, to start strong and take that momentum into the big game, the North London derby, and then arguably even bigger game against Man City, which will be the acid test for our title credentials.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to call it the Unai Emery Derby. That's what we're going to go with here, boys. The Unai Emery Derby. But yeah, looking at that, completely agree with you. I think, well, Villa took 6 points of us last season, boys. So we've got to go into that with a full mindset and be ready and be up for these games. And then hopefully we get in a few transfers just to boost the squad, build the squad. But I'm very happy with how it's going at the moment. What I can see, even Brighton's a hard game. That run from September the 14th all the way through to the 21st. So the first 5 games there: Villa away, Tottenham away, Man City away. But at the end of the day, people, you get the hard teams out of the way first, and then you can cruise on. Well, no game's easy, let's be honest, lads. But you can move forward and try get a little rhythm going. Josh, look at them fixtures. What you thinking, brother?
Yeah, like Adam said, like about the Arsenal vs Aston Villa game, it is going to be a tough one. I mean, to be honest with you, now that game, I'm not going to be going to that because I'll be away. But I look at last season, yeah. You know, I was at that game and I was really confident. You know, when Arsenal played Aston Villa, that was literally the point that we were counting down to like when we were going to win the league, because I was really confident, thinking we were going to get through against Aston Villa. But the way Arsenal played that day was not what I expected, because the moment I came out, I was just like raging, swearing. I was just like, I lost the plot. I was very angry, saying like, what kind of squad did Mikel Arteta put out? Because, you know, when it's Unai Emery, like you said, Unai Emery derby. I mean, if Unai Emery didn't make Arsenal win trophies, but like, I know Arteta did. He won us the FA Cup, but like Unai Emery made Aston Villa do well, that they've qualified for the Champions League. Okay, fine. The Arsenal players couldn't allow Aston Villa get away. This was our only chance to beat Aston Villa, because you know that day when like Liverpool were playing Crystal Palace and they threw away the league title. Yeah,
they did,
we
completely
did.
right.
It was our only chance to beat them. We could have gone above Liverpool and Manchester City, but when they lost, I lost the plot, saying I doubt if we win the league, because I definitely knew Tottenham would have done us a favor when they were playing Manchester City. You know, they lost on purpose, that we don't win the league. So that something reminds me. I said to Cecil, like from AFTV, because usually I go on there and get on fan cams, AC fan, because I said to him, what can we do to win the league next season? We want to solve Aston Villa and Manchester City at Etihad. We just need to buy new players, like get two stronger strikers and one right winger, which will solve Manchester City at Etihad. That way we can actually properly win the league next season, because I'm ready to go next season, and I still feel like Arsenal will still do it next season unless we sign some very good players.
Yeah, well, I'll completely agree with you. A lot of your facts there, brother. Um, I'm going to touch on a little something quickly, people. I do have a deep kind of hatred for Aston Villa. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry, Aston Villa fans, if you're in here. I'm from Coventry. It's Coventry's biggest rivals. I know I support Arsenal, but it is our biggest rivals. This is a true story, people. I went to Aston Villa 2 seasons ago when Jorginho scored that goal. It hit the bar, cut from Emi Martinez. I was sat in the Holt end, and the amount of abuse Bukayo Saka got, and we know what type of abuse that was. It wasn't just football abuse, it was other types of abuse. And that's what I heard. And it made me have even a deeper hatred for that club. So every time we go and play against them, I want to do the business. So, Graham, looking at them fixtures, how are you feeling about that, brother? What ones are standing out to you?
It's interesting, isn't it, that we've got three difficult away games as our first three away games. But this team showed last year that really away from home, they're really good away from home. I mean, our record last year away from home against the Big Six was exceptional. Certainly the running, we went to Tottenham, we won. We went to Man United, we won. We went to Man City, we drew. So I'm not too disappointed about that, because I think this team showed that the way Mikel sets us up away from home, I think we're capable of going to those grounds and getting results. I'm not too unhappy. Last season, we sort of we had a couple of London derbies at the start last year after we played Forest first game, and then we played Palace and Fulham, and we dropped home points against Fulham and Tottenham early. So to play them away from home, I think the strength of this team, I think, has shown last year, really good record away from home. I think I'm happy with that, and as you said at the start of the show, I think getting the difficult fixtures out the way early can sometimes be a blessing. I think to play Man City early, I think is a good thing. And think back a couple of years ago when we were due to play them at the Emirates, and I think it got cancelled because the Queen passed away, and we were really playing well then. They weren't, and that game was pushed back to later in the year. And of course, they won at the Emirates. They did the double overs that year. But the last three games against Man City, we haven't conceded a goal. So we beat them. The last two games in the league, we haven't conceded a goal. We conceded a goal in the Community Shield, but we won that. So I would say overall, although it's a difficult start, a tricky start, and obviously everyone's talked about Aston Villa. Our record against Aston Villa up to last season was pretty good, but overall, I'm not too disappointed about playing those teams early in the calendar. And I think, if anything, I think it might suit us.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Graham. Obviously, do you remember, everyone who's there, everyone who's listened, do you remember back about 3-4 years ago when we were going to the likes of Man City, Tottenham, well, maybe not Tottenham, but Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool? It was 5-0, 6-0, maybe 6-7 seasons ago. And now we've got a backbone, we've got a core of the team, and we go out there, we stand our ground. I remember we just roll over for teams, and during that COVID season, I used to watch the games and I used to sit there and watch it, and I weren't even interested at all. As mad as that sounds, as an Arsenal fan, I was not. interested. Where Mikel Arteta has actually brought back my love for this football club, and I'm very, very proud of how far we have come as a football club. The one thing I can touch on, we're not top at the start of the season like we used to be back in the day. People, I used to be really happy just to see us at the top of the table, but hopefully we can move forward and we can gain some points. I'm thinking out of this. I know I can say maximum points, and people might start calling me a deluded gooner if I start saying maximum points. And I know that's what will come across people, but I think where we're at as a team, going into the latter end of the season, last season, we won 16 out of the last 18 games, and that was drawing 1 against Manchester City as well. So winning 16 out of 18 games, if I'm correct, I think we should be going into this in red hot form, and we should go toe to toe, gung ho with anyone. Anyone wants to come to our backyard, we'll have them. If we want to go to their backyard, we'll go do them over in their backyard. That's my personal opinion. What are you thinking, Ads?
Well, to be honest, you're not wrong. I mean, when you are talking, according to what you said about watching Arsenal then back time in COVID, I think what really reminds me, like in 2021, how we like lost to like Manchester City. I remember, I remember the result when we lost to Liverpool. Like I think it was 2-0 to Liverpool, like 3 years ago, like in 2021. Like it was like during like I think that time I think it was during second lockdown or maybe after when the second lockdown was getting lifted. When I was watching games that where Arsenal just didn't even do well, yeah, I lost the plot that I was saying Arteta out because I couldn't take it no more. Especially when Europe and when we bought it against Villarreal, I was just thinking that Mikel Arteta wasn't being a good manager in 2021, even though he did win us a trophy. It was a 2020 FA Cup, but like FA Cup is just a small competition. And then when that time I wanted him out, fans were telling me, no, give him a chance, give him a chance. I thought he'd get better. In 2022, he didn't. In 2023, he was okay, but we didn't win the league like 2 seasons ago. Yeah, last season we didn't win it, but the man has tried like all his best, like worked really hard, like to make this team like progress to win the league. But at the end of the day, it's not really Arteta's fault that we bowled like the league that last season. It's not his fault. It's just like the players' weak mentality. All they had to do was just fight for the win. Like even against Aston Villa, they just had to fight for the win. But like I still believe in Arteta that he's gonna do a good job. The fact that he signed a long-term contract, I still believe that he will do a good job. That will probably get over the line next season.
Yeah, of course, brother. Of course. We have come so far under Mikel, and that goes as far as saying behind the scenes with Richard Garlick, you've got Edu. These signings, what we brought in, Martin Odegaard for a cut price, Saliba, Martinelli, the transfer. So beforehand, we were bringing in people with the likes of Nicolas Pepe, which I don't think was that much of a flop that people talk of with the amount of goals and assists he did have in the time period that he was there. He's not up there with the likes of Anthony, who's a fidget spinner, who's a footballer, literally. But Adam, can you talk to me how you feel as an Arsenal fan going into this season, brother?
Very optimistic. I am fully behind Mikel Arteta. I think you're completely right. He's taken the club from discord to accord. The fans are all united together. There's a feeling in the Emirates Stadium, a palpable feeling of togetherness and the feeling of just being united. And I think it's actually a blueprint for a lot of other clubs. I think we're seeing within other football teams, see what Man United have done, obviously holding on to Ten Hag. Are you really telling me they've not looked at Arsenal when they've made that decision to keep him? I think they probably have, because we are quite literally the blueprint of how you give a manager time and trust and back a manager to take you from essentially where we were before, which was mediocrity, to the top of the tree again. In terms of these fixtures, I'm looking at them now. I think Brighton obviously will have a new manager, so they're not going to be fully together. I think we're going to win that. That's actually going to be on my 30th birthday, so that'll be special for me. The Wolves one, I'd back us to win. Spurs aren't half the team we are. I'm sorry. I'm not just saying that as an Arsenal fan. If you look at their transition, they're 5, 6, 7 seasons behind us at least, I think. And I'd back us to win. I would back us to win pretty much every game. The one that I'm a little bit more tentative about is Aston Villa. As Graham rightly said, we have had a very good record against them up until this season just gone. But obviously having won 0 out of 6 points against them this season, that is actually the fixture that concerns me probably the most, because I think with Man City, the defensive performance we gave against Manchester City with the likes of Saliba, we've seen him bully Haaland in 2 games, and I would back our defensive players against them again, I think they've shown that they can actually do that. And I think this season will be the first time we beat them at the Etihad. I'm going to say that now. I can see that happening. So I think we've got a lot to celebrate as Arsenal fans right now. Very positive time.
Yeah, I completely agree. And people, if you are watching now, remember to hit that free punch combination, bam, 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 by liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. I'm going to move on over to Graham. How optimistic are you going into this season, Graham?
Well, like Adam said, I think we got every reason to be optimistic. I think what Mikel will be drumming into the players going into this season is they proved last year that they could almost do it. And what I mean by that is that the record they had last season for an Arsenal team was most points ever, most wins ever in the Premier League since Premier League began. So in a normal season, that record that they achieved last year, it would have been good enough to win the Premier League. It's just that you're up against an exceptional team in Man City, and that's the reason why we just fell short. So I think he'll be saying, you boys have proved, you're good enough to win it this year. Go and do it. And I think the ride under Mikel, and I know a lot of the detractors say he hasn't won anything apart from the FA Cup. I think there's an argument to say he's going to have to win something soon, but I do think we're good enough to win something under Arteta this season. I think he's going to win a league title at Arsenal. I do in the next couple of years. So I think he'd be saying to the players, look, you proved how good you were last year. You've proved that you can live with these top teams. Go out there and do it this year. I think the recruitment, as we've touched on, is going to be key. I think over the last 2 years, they've got the recruitment absolutely spot on. Obviously, we had Jesus and Zinchenko 2 years ago, took us to that level that they took us to that season. And last season, the recruitment, bringing in Declan Rice into midfield, was obviously improved the team further. I think Havertz now has found his spot up top in the centre forward position. So I think it's interesting, and I touched on this in the Tactical Insight show that I did with James that Joshua talked about. We started last season against Man City in the Community Shield with Havertz up top in the number 9 position. And then we had that midfield three that we all craved for at the start of the season of Partey, Rice and Odegaard. Odegaard left-sided 8, Odegaard right-sided 8. And Martin Odegaard's role in the team last year evolved quite a lot during the season, where he became just about the all-purpose midfielder all the way through. So when he found a new role for him. But I think it's going to be key this year to get, I think, the recruitment right again. It's going to be harder because I think the transfer window is going to be slower because of the Euros. But if we can get what we're looking for, and of course we'll have Timber back for the season this year. We lost him at the start last season. If we can get what I would call either a transitional killer up top or a top striker, and also we can add, I think, another midfielder. I think that we're, there will be outgoings as well. So I expect there'll be more sort of players coming in. But I think if we get the recruitment spot on, I think, we're going to have another real good go at it this season. And I think with Liverpool in transition, with a new manager coming, Chelsea, obviously a new manager coming in, Man United, although they won a trophy, I still don't think they're that great. I think it's going to be between us and Man City again. And I just think, just hope that we get it right this year. I mean, we've got the players, we've got the manager, and we had a fantastic run. One thing I differ on from what the boys were saying, and that is we had a fantastic end to last season, but this is a new season. Let's just put it in perspective. It is a new season, so we start again on 0 points. So we can't take anything for granted. We have to be, these players have to be motivated again. They've proved that they have been the last year or two. He's tied good young players down onto contracts, long contracts. So I think with the right recruitment, I think there's no reason why we can't really go strong again and give this a real good go. And I just hope this time we get over the line.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. Every single point you made there, I was in complete agreement. Fair play, Graham, fair play. I'm going to touch on Martin Odegaard for a second. And then one thing I want to touch on is that a lot of people I see on my TikTok lives, and they talk to me when I bring up Arsenal and so forth. They talk about Martin Odegaard as a 10, which he is not, which you correctly pointed out. He is an 8. He's been dropping a lot deeper in the previous season. And what I think that Southgate has tried to do in the Euros, I know I'm bringing up Southgate and the Euros, which I've harped on about quite a few times. I think that he tried to play Phil Foden in that pocket the other night, kind of like an 8. And people like he played left wing. He did not play left wing. He played kind of in a pocket in 8. And I think he may have got a little bit of a blueprint. I might be wrong. but it did seem very, very like an Odegaard type of role. I don't know if people can kind of agree on that. But moving on over, I'm going to put a wild prediction out there, and you can at me in the comments. You can keep your receipts, people. But I think we can see how the charges for Man City are going. The 115 charges by the transfers that come in and the transfers that come out, because our players going to want to go and sign for this football club if it's all up in the air, it's all up in arms. Are they going to go sign for a football club that don't know whether they're coming or going? And I think that's what might give us the upper hand this season, where other players might not want to join and players might want to leave. And I think that's what we can see over the summer transfer market. And I'm going to be right out there and say that we are going to win the league next season. And that's the confidence that Mikel Arteta has installed into me. That's the confidence that Declan Rice, William Saliba, Gabriel, every single player that's on that pitch and plays for our badge has put that and installed in me. And I want to thank every single one of them, because that was lost for a very, very long time, all the way back to the likes of Thierry Henry's, Patrick Vieira's, Gilberto Silva's. So going all the way back to then is the last time I felt that. I know I was young, but that's when I felt this much love for this football club. And we have to be optimistic, and we have to be positive, considering even though we didn't win the league, it's an upward trajectory. It's a very, very much upward trajectory. And I don't know if I'm wrong by saying this, but my research did say that Ferguson's 13 titles, our points title would have won 8 of them. 8 of them. So I think moving forward, we're progressing, and we're starting to hit that stage 4, stage 5, what Mikel Arteta talked about as the stages. Adam, any thoughts onto that? What I've just been waffling on a little bit, because that's my name, Jamie Waffles Footy.
I completely agree with your confidence. I think it's perfectly valid confidence. I think where we need to be slightly cautious, and I'm going to bring up a specific game from the season just gone, that 2-2 against Fulham. Now, Fulham went down to 10 men when we were 2-1 up. So we needed to bring that game home and take away the 3 points. The thing we've got to recognise with Man City, and this is if they continue their current trajectory, because I agree with you, Jamie, we don't know how things are going to turn out with Manchester City. Also, Pep Guardiola has made strong suggestions that he will be leaving the football club at the end of this coming season. So we don't know how that may affect fan morale, player morale, players coming in, players going out, as you rightly say. But I think it's games like that Fulham game that we just cannot afford early in the season. Say, let's just bring up an example. If we're beating Aston Villa 2-1 with 5 minutes to go at Villa Park, that there is just there's absolutely no leeway for making any mistakes. And that's the problem that we have had, because although our points total last season was fantastic, it was 1 point off what the Invincibles got, actually. Yeah. So that shows you in context just how fantastic a points total it was. We have seen just in a few of these games dominating against Villa in the first half when we played them at home, not scoring, creating a lot of chances against West Ham at home, not scoring, having a decent game against Newcastle, not winning, going down 1-0. Yeah, you can talk about VAR, but that's a separate issue. So I think the really important, crucial thing is to start strong as we mean to go on, because even a point versus 3 points could make all the difference at the end of the season. And of course, what the issue we've got with Man City is, once they get to March, you pretty much know they're not going to lose a game. It's almost certain that they're not going to drop any points in the last 12 weeks of the season. So we've got to start fast and really build up a points advantage, I would suggest, over them, and just make sure that we are as perfectionistic as we can. Now, that's not always easy, because football's a game of multiple variations and factors. There are a lot of metrics that go into results of football matches, as we all know. But we've just got to do our best. And I think that comes down to motivation, starting fast, getting transfers right. I think we need a clinical striker. I like Havertz, but I don't think he's necessarily clinical enough. I'd like to see somebody that can put 25 goals in every season. Hate to bring up Harry Kane, but that's sort of a player. What he single-handedly carried Spurs. Same with Haaland for Man City. We need someone like that, a world beater, along with other positional transfers as well. But those are my thoughts on it. I think if we start fast, if we win our first 4 games, I will be very, very confident for the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Just to touch on what obviously you said about Harry Kane. Harry Kane is the leading goal scorer in the whole of Europe this season, isn't he? I think he scored
Mm.
52 goals in all
Yeah, that's
competitions
right.
last season. 52 goals. Imagine having a gunman like that in our team.
Mm.
Josh, do you want to touch on anything regarding all of this, what we've been talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. According to what, like, he said. Now, I forgot to mention, like, there's something. I mean, that I would. I mean, we didn't win the league. I mean, not just the fact that we lost to Villa. I mean, where was the players that time when our first loss at the Emirates? Literally, like the season that just happened before next season that we lost to West Ham, which was our first loss at the Emirates. Yeah, and according to that, Declan Rice that wanted to like come to the club because when he knows that Arsenal do well. I mean, the fact that I remember when he was in the conference league 2 seasons ago, like when they won the conference league, he was at West Ham when they won the conference league, and then I felt happy for West Ham, but he knew that West Ham really won trophies than we have done in the past with like with the managers that we've had in the past. So like he wanted to come to the right place, which is Arsenal, and he did come to the right place. I mean, I looked at the man; he's been scoring a lot of goals, but like our first loss, like at the Emirates, like I look at that Declan Rice. The way he played, that it was just embarrassing. West Ham fans were cussing him. And I was like, no, this is unacceptable. Like Declan Rice, you cannot do this in front of your own team. And the players just had no fight against West Ham. Our first loss at the Emirates. Not just that only. Adam, you said how we drew like Fulham 2-2. Speaking of that, I was at that game as well, and I was sitting on the upper tier, and to be honest with you, that was that moment when that day Kai Havertz was just like not playing good at all. And people were criticizing having the agenda on Kai Havertz, wanting Kai Havertz to leave, and I was saying Kai Havertz should leave as well because we can't have a player that is not gonna like want to play rubbish in Arsenal Football Club when we were fighting for the league title because he's been over 20 years now. I mean, it was over like like 90 years, and now that makes it like 20 that we've not won the league. And if not for Havertz that played like absolutely rubbish, then what could he have done better than that? Just to just go for the ball. But when he didn't go for the ball, and if not when he was down to 10 men, you cannot allow Fulham to get away with it because to be honest with you, I'm sorry for any of you Fulham fans watching this video, but Fulham are not a big club. No disrespect, they're not a big club. They're not like Liverpool, Manchester City, United, like who like draw against us or like who we lost to because and even when we lost to Fulham at Craven Cottage, I was just like, nah, I feel like if we it will be hard for us to win the league because when we drew to Liverpool at Anfield and we had to take that win because we're top of the league, we dropped points ending of 2023 because we lost to Fulham at Craven Cottage. That was the very sad ending for and a disaster to ending of 2023, and most of them also players then back then was just like all of the players they had no plan B. So I look back on that and saying to myself, did let this not happen again. Like I hope Arteta has sat back and reflected on what's happened this season. What can him and Josh Kroenke do to like make this team win the league? Like
So basically, what you're saying, Josh, is, and I completely agree with you, is that December period did cost us. A lot of people do touch on that Aston Villa game, but we did, like I previously said, we did
it's
do.
not just that only we lost to Fulham and West Ham that what we
But
dropped
that was the
points.
December period where we messed up. We lost 4 games on the bounce now in December. What tactical tweaks? Because obviously, Graham, you're very tactically aware. Obviously, you do the tactical insight with James over on the channel, which I'm gonna admit that I do watch every single week. But so what tactical little switch or little twitch you can recommend that we could do this season? What didn't quite work out last season?
It was interesting last season, wasn't it? Because he moved away from the inverted fullback quite a lot last season. I mean, if you think back to the previous season, Zinchenko was inverting from the left. He started last season with Partey inverting from the right. He started with Partey at right back when Zinchenko wasn't available. And then, of course, he stopped it really when he decided to push Martin Odegaard to play virtually in all phases of play. So tactically, that was the big evolution last season, the role of Martin Odegaard, the way that Odegaard built the play, to help us play out around the press, how he sort of was in the double pivot alongside the number 6 at times, and sometimes he was forward in the box midfield and sometimes he was over on the right hand side, so he was given the freedom to go wherever he wanted. And I thought Declan Rice took his position a lot last season for where Martin Odegaard played. So I don't think tactically he'll tweak it too much because I think he's already got the blueprint that works. I don't think there will be little innovations. He's always trying to be less predictable, as he calls it, because teams obviously when they sit in low blocks, when teams defend narrow, it does stop you playing through them. So he's always looking for ways to overcome low block. So he might come up with some ideas this season, but I think he's pretty much got the blueprint in place. I think what he'll try and do this season is, I feel most games Arsenal play at a 9 out of 10. If you look at how they play, they're on top in games, they're 9 out of 10, and then when they're dominating games, they will score goals. I think what he'll be probably trying to bring to the team this year is when we have all the ball, but we're not quite at it like we normally are, where we're going more sideways or we can't find a way through. And the team is only maybe 7 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10. So what I think he needs probably this season is, I would say, more of as I say, a player. I think we touched on it. Like Man City got Haaland, Liverpool last year had Salah. If we could have a player who, in those tight games, makes the difference, who unlocks teams, as good as Odegaard is at sort of playing players through with penetrative passes, I think sometimes you need a transition killer, because I think football is now a lot played in transition. Teams press high, try and win the ball back up high, and a lot of goals come from transition and from mistakes. So I think we need somebody like a transition killer. I don't know who that player is. Somebody who in those tight games can make the difference and win us those games when we're not quite playing at the 9.5 out of 10 that we are virtually most of the season. So I think that will probably elevate us to the next level. But in terms of tactically, he surprises me every season, Arteta. He surprised me when we saw, like the start of last season, Partey inverting into midfield from right back. Then he surprised me when he moved Odegaard further back. So I'm no doubt he'll come up with something new this year. What it is, I'll wait to see, but I'm sure I'm going to have great fun breaking it down. But I think, that's what we need. I think we just need that killer person who can run through teams, somebody who in a tight match makes the difference, which is what Man City have got in Haaland. So, but overall, he's pretty much, I think, the structure, the rotations, the way the players play, it is it's so well coached, and it's a joy to watch. And I think he's got this team really as good as it can be. I think if you look at the two seasons, the first season 2 years ago, we had a fantastic start up to the World Cup. We only lost one game up to the World Cup. We were in a great position. Then we fell away last 10 games. Last season, it wasn't such a great start. And then we had, as Josh said, we had that terrible December where we took something like 5 points out of 15. In the end, that cost us a league because we lost 3 league games in that period. Mm-hmm. That's what cost us a league, because we won 16 of the last 18 and drew at Man City, and it still wasn't good enough. I think the thing is, what we've got to do is when we're not playing well, that Aston Villa game that Josh talked about, we weren't playing well. And I remember Declan Rice saying, when you're not playing well, just get out of there with a point. We should have got out of there with a point, not lost that game maybe. In the end, that probably wouldn't have been enough. But the point I'm making is we lost 5 Premier League games last season to win the league. I think you can't afford to lose 5 Premier League games when you've got Man City in the league. So that's what we've got to do. I think we've got to lose less games.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I 100% agree with that talisman who can just switch a game on its head like that. And I think we did lack that. I definitely think we lacked that last season. I think that Leo Trossard was that in certain moments. Bayern Munich. In certain games, Trossard did come on and do something for us. But we need someone to do that more regularly. And I thought a season or two ago, Martinelli could have been that man. Where all of a sudden he just pops up, bam, and it's a goal. Just like I've kind of seen Martinelli going towards that trajectory, but he had a bit of a lackluster season last season. Not to say that he doesn't deserve to be in the squad, but it was a bit lackluster. But 100% agree with you, whether that's a Gyökeres, whether that's a whoever we think is going to come in. But I think that's the missing tool. You have your tools to build something, and then that's that missing tool, that missing drill, that missing screwdriver. That's what it is, just to put everything in place. That because you are right, over that period, them 3 games that you speak of, Graham, we were better in most of the games. It was only the West Ham game that we actually weren't better than the other team. And then I think it was either the Fulham game or the other West Ham game. No, that was in the cup. There was one game where we had 32 shots and we still didn't win. In one of them,
I think that was a West Ham game. I think
that was the West Ham game. I think was it the first? Yeah. Was it the one at Emirates?
Yeah, we had
the 3 games we lost in December. Just quickly, we lost to Aston Villa. Yeah. Then we beat Brighton. Then we lost to
West Ham.
We lost to West Ham and Fulham in consecutive matches, didn't we? And that really did. That was in the end crucial. We lost 3 of those 4 or 5 games. I think we drew at Anfield, which was a good result. We beat Brighton, but then we lost at Villa, lost to West Ham, lost at Fulham. And as Adam said, that Fulham game early in the season, we were winning 2-1. They're down to 10 men. They scored from a corner right at the end. We talked about Aston Villa. We only got 0 points out of 6 against Villa. We only took 1 point out of 6 against Fulham, didn't we? So that wasn't good. That wasn't good enough in hindsight. But I think we just got to, in these tight games, just find a way. If we're not playing well, just don't lose the game. And I think Declan Rice said it last season. I think that Aston Villa game at the Emirates, Arteta got everything right in the running last year, but in that game he went back to Havertz in the left-sided 8 role and brought in Jesus. So that's the big dilemma for him this season. How he's going to. We talked about someone else coming in instead of Havertz, but what's he going to do with Gabriel Jesus? Because he can play right across the front line, but I felt there were times last season when he was trying to accommodate Eddie Nketiah and Jesus in the team and Havertz at left-sided 8. When he eventually got a holding midfielder, Jorginho, Partey at 6, Odegaard and Rice at the left and right-sided 8s, and Havertz up top, that was a really effective formation for us. And I think the mistake he made against Villa, which Josh talked about, we lost that game. In the end, that also was crucial. Havertz went back from centre forward to number 8, and Jesus come in at centre forward. So he's got to, I hope he learns from that, because the way we ended the season, playing the football we played, with the players in those positions, the players were in the right positions, and that was reflected in the football we played.
Yeah, exactly right. I completely agree with every single point you have made there. I think we can still improve as a football club, but we have come leaps and bounds. And then it's just the silverware that needs to come. But some people this day and age are so caught up in silverware. Like, just for example, they're talking about the likes of Man United having a better season. And it's just absolute. My name is meant to be Jamie Waffles 30 people, not you. You're not meant to be Waffles. That's me. Don't take the name from me, people, because that's what you're sounding like over here. But I'm just going to touch on one more thing about the 3-punch combination. So, bam, liking, comment, and subscribing down below, and check out everyone who is in here. But I'm going to touch on another thing as well, which I always do towards the end of the show, and that is mental health awareness. People, if reach out to a loved one, a family member, a friend you haven't spoke to in a long time. If you're on the train with your headphone in right now, listening to me, listen to Jay Gunnar, listen to Jamie, and listen to all the boys in here. Take your headphone out. If there's someone on the bus next to you, and just check in. Checking in on someone can help so much. You don't know exactly what that person next to you is going through. So please check in on someone today, people. I thought I'd just touch on that. Any last thoughts on that, Adam? Any last thoughts on Arsenal's run-in? Anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, I think, everything we've said is, absolutely on the money. I think in terms of the number 9, that's classic striker. I really want to see that. We're talking about potential names, as you know, Jamie, because we've discussed this before. I really like Alexander Isak. I'm a very big fan, but it looks like he's going to cost too much money, unfortunately, and we're not going to pay 140 million pounds or whatever's been quoted for him recently. That is just ridiculous. But I think that is the missing piece for me right now. As Graham said, that nil-nil as it was in the Newcastle game before, of course, they scored the goal, the contentious goal. The Villa. It's these tight games, as Graham said, we're playing 6, 7, and we're defensively looking solid. Our transitions are not where they are when we're on a 9 or a 10 out of 10. That we need somebody that can just produce a moment of magic. And I think, don't get me wrong, we have players throughout our squad that can produce a moment of magic, but you know what I mean? A striker that pops up in those moments just to change a game. And how many times have you seen it? It's as tale as old as time, isn't it? One goal can change a game, as the saying goes. And I think Arsenal need that. In terms of the future of Jesus, I think perhaps a wider position might suit him better. I think he's very good tight spaces. He's very good with. There was that goal he helped set up against Sevilla with his footwork was just unbelievable. It was so impressive. But I think, as he said himself in interviews, he's made constant references to not being the man that puts the ball consistently in the back of the net. So I think we need to find somebody that can do that. Somebody that can just, as I say, change a game in these moments that we need somebody to change a game. Because if we're turning that 1-0 against Villa into even a 1-1 or The Newcastle, when we go one up and they can't come back, that obviously the trajectory of the game changes if you've got somebody that can make those differences in those moments. So that's what I think we need. I think he's got a very, very strong squad and a very, very good side. And the other point I'd like to touch on in regards to silverware is I think we need to challenge in every single competition that we're in, because I think silverware is something, if we want to win something, and I think we will win something this season, but I'd like to see everything taken seriously, even the League Cup. And people may disagree with me on that one, but I'd like to see League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, and of course the big one, the Premier League. I'd like us to see us taking that seriously in every competition. But I'm feeling very optimistic. We're in a great place as Arsenal fans, and let's hope for a really good season. I think we'll see one.
Yeah, I think we will as well. I completely agree with every single point you have made there, my brother. Just to touch on a few things, people, as well. If you're not agreeing with the opinions, let us know in the comments. Everyone has a right to an opinion, whether mine is right, whether yours is right. Everyone has the right to an opinion, and opinions do change. Josh, do you want to touch on anything else, brother?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think what all of you have said, especially you, Graham, about what's been going on in the past. I think, Graham, like how you usually, when I watch you, like with James, how you analyze the players back in your AFTV studio, about how you analyze the players and what they should do and all that, like to move like together and like practice together, like just work hard together, play hard and win. Now, to be honest with you, to the fact that something really reminded me about, like, that Champions League quarterfinal that was at, I think we definitely could have won that, like we were this close to winning, and before we get to Champions League semi-final, we could have won it. Get to the Champions League final where it was going to be us as Arsenal fans going to Wembley, because I was really hoping to go to Wembley this year to see Arsenal win a trophy. Because, can I be honest with you, I think all my life as an Arsenal fan, I've been supporting Arsenal like since I was 3. And to be honest with you, the fact that I'm the most passionate Arsenal fan, which is what everybody knows about me, when they see me go on all these Arsenal fan channels, because I always don't give up on having a say. Now, the year Arsenal won the league, I wasn't even born. Like, they won the league at a hybrid before they got moved to the Emirates, and I've never seen it happen. I've always dreamt about Arsenal winning the league, and the moment I wake up in the morning, I always say, "Wow, I just hope that Arsenal can really fight to win the league title." Like, I just hope my dream will come true, because, to be honest with you, since we didn't win the league like this season, hopefully next season my dream will come true. What I mean, my dream will come true next season. That's like to Arsenal, like, just win the league, not just the league only, like you said, Adam. I even want, like, out of the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and Champions League. Like, Arteta has done a good job to make us get to a big quarter final like the Champions League. Let's continue doing that next season. Like, let this man, like, make the show the Arsenal players to fight for the winner. Make sure that we get over the line. Because if we want to win trophies, because when we look at Manchester City, how, like, they won, like, the treble, like, 2 seasons ago, they've won the league, and the fact that City didn't even win the FA Cup, but they will be facing United in the FA Community Shield. But, like, which trophy did Arteta win us after the FA Cup? It was like, literally last year, the FA Community Shield. So, like, what's FA Community Shield? It's nothing. Can we win big trophies in that? Yes. And that's the league and the Champions League. But if we don't win, like, like the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, or Champions League, then all that I just want is just the Premier League. That's all it matters. I just hope that the man can, like, help us get over the line, and then because we're still a big club. We're still a big club. I mean, also got so much money in buying all these players. To be honest with you, I watch Robbie's, like, show on AFTV called Transfer Daily, about which players want to come to Arsenal. Yeah, I see Arsenal on that money well to gain all these players. Yeah, either Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney, or Nana. Either these players that I predict Victor Osimhen to come to Arsenal, but we don't know who will come out yet. I mean, we've still got the whole of the summer, but until then, let's just hope next season, Arteta could just help us win trophies even before the league. Let's just try and go for trophies like the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. Because one more thing, because I'm going to go in a minute. I think the Carabao Cup, we won Brentford. We went to West Ham. We lost to them at Emirates, but before that, we lost to West Ham, like, at the London Stadium in the Carabao Cup. And I just shook my head saying, Arsenal are not prepared for this season at all, because these are one of your games this season to try and win. And then the FA Cup, against Liverpool, that we lost to our first FA Cup round according to last season. And then we won Liverpool at Emirates in the Premier League, So all those times that happen, let's not allow it happen again in Carabao Cup, FA Cup. The man just has to, like, get us over the line. That's it.
Ultimately, you just want to be pushing on all fronts. That's what you're pushing at there, Josh, and I completely agree with you. We do have to be pushing on all fronts, and you want the Premier League to come, which every single Arsenal fan does, because it has been a very, very long time. But in Arteta, we trust, and I do think we're on the right trajectory to get that Premier League title. Any last thoughts, Graham?
Yeah, I don't want Josh to feel too envious, but I know I'm a lot older than you guys, but I've seen Arsenal win 6 league titles.
Yeah, go on.
So first one was in '71 when first season. My dad used to take me then, so that was the first time I see Arsenal win the double. I think just coming back to, well, first of all, you should be grateful, Josh. You're not a Tottenham fan. They haven't won a league title in my lifetime.
They've not won a league title in 61
I'm
years.
61. I'm 61. You know, so they haven't won a
Why
trophy.
Tottenham fans so mouthy about us for nothing? Like, you know, I watch people like Expressions. I don't know why Expressions is being so mouthy about Arsenal. He needs to focus on how his team have not won like league, like more than that, how we've never won the league. 61 years for Tottenham.
They haven't won a trophy for something like 6,000 days. So they won the Audi Cup, of course. But look, I mean, I think that I went past a car the other day. You could tell it was a car without a cup holder. It must have belonged to a Tottenham fan. So,
oh my God!
But look, I mean, just going back. Listen. Just going back to jokes aside. Just going back to last season. I think in the FA Cup, boys, we've been a bit unlucky. When you think the last 2 seasons, we drew Man City away last season before last, 3rd round, or was it 4th round? Certainly early on. And then we drew Liverpool at home. So we played 2 top teams. I'm not saying that's an excuse for going out. But so if you look at Man United, they won the Carabao Cup 2 years ago. With every game was a home draw against lower league opposition. This year they got to the cup final, hardly beat anybody, albeit they beat Man City in the final. Man City were pissed for the week before the final, celebrating the lead. But the reality is they played no one in the lead up to the final. So you have to get lucky with the draw sometimes. I think Josh is right. West Ham, you know, we did rotate heavily for that Carabao Cup game, but we went there and beat them 6-0 in the league game later in the season, didn't we? So I think you are right. We've got to, as Adam says, we've got to take every trophy seriously. Now, we talked about signings we want. I think one thing we need to also acknowledge is he's going to want to get players off the books this year. I think the likes of El Neni's already gone. I think Ramsdale's going to go. I think Reece Nelson's going to go. I think Eddie Nketiah is going to go. And it could well be even Smith Rowe, as much as we love him, he might leave or go out on loan, probably leave. So there's going to be a lot of, over the next month, as we see the end of these Euros, and once they're finished, you're going to watch players, I think, leave Arsenal before he makes signings. I think he's got to generate the money, or certainly he's going to have to look to get those players off the books for the players that he's bringing in. So I think overall, we started talking about the fixtures. So I'm going to end about the fixtures. I think we got a difficult start. I think we got a difficult run in. But ultimately, I think, the quality we've got in the team, we shouldn't fear that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Graham. I completely agree. I think we should be taking maximum points from the fixtures. We're finishing up now, Josh. Anyway, I'm just going to drop my plugs, and everyone can drop their plugs afterwards because Josh has got to go as well. So I've been Jamie Waffles Footy, formerly known as on TikTok as JGunner17. So if everyone can hit that 3-punch combination, you all should know it by now. Bam, 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 by liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. Adam, drop your plugs.
Thank you, Jamie. Yep, I'm AGN Entertainment on YouTube and AGN Football on TikTok. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching after the fact, and come and support everybody here. Thank you, Graham, for coming on the show.
Yeah. Josh, thank you for coming on. Any last?
Just to say, for any of you man that know me, I'm like Joshua, and you probably go subscribe to my channel, Joshua.etv, the official, and all that. And some of you man might also recognize me as you see me on AFTV fan cams. Successful usually interviews me or Robbie, and not just that only on the video show. And yes, thank you, Graham, from like the Tactical Insight Show, for coming on as well.
Yeah, very lovely.
I've really enjoyed it, guys. It's been a pleasure. I think we've had a good, honest debate tonight, and everyone's made some really good points. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, it's GrahamB195. Simple as that. Okay, but appreciate the invite on. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. We've loved having you over here.
Graham, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a
pleasure. Everyone, just the last thing, obviously, I always touch on mental health awareness like I just did before. Checking on someone today. whether it's a friend, loved one, family member, whoever, just checking on someone today, because mental health is ultimately a killer.
Well,
So,
Jamie, can I just add one thing to that?
yeah, of
Now,
course you can.
in a world where I think a lot of people are unkind, I think people should be kind. You never know what difficulties or things people are having in their lives. So at least respect people and be kind to people. You know,
Yes.
we pass through on this journey. Our lifetimes are short, you know, and I think we need to recognise that. You know, I see a lot of things on social media, a lot of people making comments that I think downright disrespectful to people, and a lot of I think people should be kind. And if anyone ever abuses anyone, I always say you never know what that person's going through mentally, and I think you should respect everybody in this life and treat everybody kindly. So try my message tonight to everybody on mental health, as you put it out there, is please be kind to everybody.
You're not wrong, Graham. Do you know what? You're not the only one. The same thing happens to me. Like, I always get abused on my channel. I always get abused on AFTV. Like, I can't, like, to be honest with you, you're not wrong. So like anywhere I go and I get abused, I don't really like it, because to be honest with you, if haters like want to ruin me, I understand, like, you know, people want to have opinions, but like, they shouldn't be coming to fight me over it, because at the end of the day, I always try to like speak the wise words, as I say, and stuff, and I'm trying to, like, you know, say things that are true. If I say something that people may not like it, I start maybe cussing players out, people may not like it, but every Arsenal fan has an opinion, you know. So for people that know me, they should actually really go easy on me, because usually sometimes on my YouTube channel I get abused on it. So people do go easy on me as well.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is you never know what demons everyone's fighting in their lives. So just treat everyone with respect. That's my
Yeah,
message.
it's
But
just not
anyway,
good to
thanks.
fight over
Yeah,
opinions.
thanks, guys. Thanks.
No worries, Graham.
I gotta get going.
That's what we're going to finish up on. Graham has said it. Everyone checking on someone today. So peace and stay blessed, every single person that is watching.